Hey everybody, it's Christine, and today I have something new for you that just for fun, I played with the Creative Scrapbookers magazine sketch of the month. They have a Facebook group where they play with a sketch each month and everybody shares their sketch. And so I thought it would be fun to play along and just give it a whirl. I also am playing with the Hip Hop Hooray collection from Simple Stories. This is an Easter spring collection and it is super fun. And I started working on a project for Simple Stories over the weekend and I had so many good ideas with it that I decided I would really dig into it over the next couple weeks. So you're going to be seeing lots of videos specifically from that collection here. Now, as you can see, I am creating a base layer. This sketch had 3 pictures on it. It was a very basic sketch, nothing complicated at all, but just a really good jumping off point. What I like about using sketches is that it's just that. It gives you a jumping off point. Takes a little bit of the thought process out of it that you have to have otherwise if you're going without a sketch. A lot of times I end up veering pretty far from the actual sketch design. I didn't do that too much tonight, and so that was kind of different for me. So all that said, let's dive into my details here a little bit more. I am using this yellow buffalo plaid-like background, and I just love this paper. I love yellow on my layouts. I almost always have some yellow element in there, and this one was just calling my name. So I'm using that, and you can see that I'm also using the back side of it. So I'm actually using 2 different sheets of paper, and as you can see, I've got this white mat around my yellow paper, and then I am using that floral as my border. And so you saw there a minute ago, I had cut out the center so that I can use that paper again. I didn't want to use 2 full 12 by 12 sheets, so I was able to split it that way. Next up, I'm going to bring in my pictures. I am going to use 3. However, I am going to use, on the sketch, they have 2 vertical and 1 horizontal. I'm going to actually change it and just use 2 smaller ones up top and then 1 square one at the bottom. Primarily, the reason I did this was that's what my pictures were. They were all vertical. I had to find a way to make them fit within the design. And so that's what I did. The pictures are all of the same day, same moment, same Easter egg hunt, just different, him making different faces. And so what I wanted to do was pick my favorite one to really be the focal point, and then the other 2 to take a smaller step back on the layout. Now, this is a boy layout, so I am trying to keep some of the more feminine elements out of it. You can see I already did use that floral background for my border, so that is in there. However, I really like the colors in it, and I thought the colors would bring the whole thing together really well. Other than that, I'm going to avoid the flowers and try and bring in some more of the Easter elements. The bunnies, the eggs, the carrots, all those things that come in this collection, just to bring out the boy aspect of things. I know a lot of you here on my YouTube channel like to see how you can twist things to have that boy feel to it. And so that's what I'm trying to do here. Now, the end result is still a pretty, I mean, you could slap girl pictures on there just as well as you could have boy ones. It's definitely not overly masculine by any means. But I did try and lean that direction at least as much as I could. And sometimes that's just what you do with a collection. It doesn't have an over feel one way or the other. And so you just kind of meet in the middle and avoid either the elements that go one direction or the other. So that being said, you can see I've cut out my pictures. I'm getting them ready to go on there. I am going to map them with white cardstock, as I almost always do, so that they will pop a little bit more. You can also see how I sized down those top ones. So they ended up being approximately a 3x4 rectangle, and my bottom picture is a 4x4. So just changing up the orientation of them a little bit to make them work for this specific sketch, really. thing I need to figure out is how I'm going to place them on there. Do I want them straight next to each other? Do I want to overlap them? Do I want to put them at an angle? All those different considerations that we take when we are creating. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't love to go straight all the time. There's a couple reasons for that. Number one, I feel like no matter how many times I check it, something always is just a little bit off. Number two, oftentimes we're already including a lot of straight lines in our layouts. And so this is one of those cases. I've got those straight lines going on in my check background. I don't want even more straight lines. It feels too harsh and rigid for me. So what I'm going to do is I am going to set things at an angle, and that's going to include both my top picture and my bottom picture. I'm going to let them just sit at a smidge of an angle, and that just softens up the whole design of everything. And then I don't have to worry about if my pictures are on there straight either. Now, it would have been a little easier today with the lines, I will admit, because you just follow the lines on there. But I think probably if you've ever created a layout and you photographed it and you do that regularly, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's like no matter what you do, there's always a little bit there. Now, what I'm trying to figure out at this point is, what layers of patterned paper do I want to include underneath my pictures? Again, I am going for as much of a boy theme as I can. So I'm trying to avoid going too heavy on the pinks, especially knowing that my title is going to have some heavier pink in it. I don't want to overwhelm the whole thing with a lot of pinks. So I am trying to bring in that turquoisey blue that is in the background border paper. I'm trying to bring that in as another layer. And basically what I did is I just went through my stack of these papers and figured out, okay, what do I have scraps of from other layouts, and just started kind of tucking them in underneath my pictures. In the end, I really liked having a tuck of that blue underneath both my bottom picture and my top pictures. And so I'm going to work those in. I'm also going to have one more plaid paper underneath the blue as a bottom layer underneath that bottom picture. And I'm doing that just to really provide another layer and to provide the eye the opportunity to see that that's my focal picture. That is my main picture of the layout, and it gives it a little bit more than the top two pictures. Adding layers of patterned paper like this is a really easy way to take your layout to the next level. I could have just put the pictures on there matted and it would have been just fine. A very eye-pleasing, simple, clean layout. But if you're looking at it and saying, you know, I want to take this to another level, I want to take it and go a little further, I also want the chance to play with some more patterned papers maybe, this is a really easy way to do it by just adding some extra layers underneath your pictures. One other thing I want to make a note of is that not only can you do that, but by pulling those up, distressing the edges, all those things, you can also add some really great texture with those layers. And that definitely takes your the layout to another level. Now let's go on to creating the title as well as the embellishing. The title on the sketch was in the right-hand corner with some journaling in between. I'm going to opt for a really big title instead because this is an Easter egg hunt. There's not a lot to tell about this, so I will put on the back of my layout the date, I'll put on the location, and that's really all there is to tell. There's no major exciting memories to go with it, and that's okay. Sometimes we have a lot to say about the story. Sometimes we just want the moment captured, and so this is one of those times for me where I'm just going to capture it. So you can see I've got on there extra with egg in it, Easter fun. And I love the colors in this, love the colors in it. And I just love the way they pop and really make the title. The next thing I decided to do was to add on some bunnies. And so I'm going to have that bunny down there on my title. And then I'm also going to have one up in the middle there. And then I'm going to have another one on the bottom left-hand side. I did stray a little bit from where the sketch called for the embellishing. However, it wasn't working to put the bunny up there at the top of the layout for me. It was a little bit too big and bulky. And so by moving it down here, I was still able to keep that visual triangle, just in a different location. One of the things I like to do when I'm creating a layout like this and I'm embellishing is to try and keep my embellishments pretty similar in the clusters that go in my visual triangle. So you can see I'm adding carrots now. Before I even started putting those carrots on, I made sure I had 3 carrots. Turns out I had 3. Not only did I have 3, I had 6. I had some in the ephemera, I had some in the stickers. And so I am going to put those on there where it's appropriate and looks good. And tie those into the visual triangle throughout. I'm going to do the same with the eggs. All of this just helps to add to the clusters, but not be so overwhelming that you have 48 different kinds of embellishing going on. It keeps the whole thing unified and really brings the whole layout together. As I mentioned, this is a collection from Simple Stories. It's called Hip Hop Hooray, which gives you the impression that it's Easter, but you can definitely see that there are a lot of spring elements in here, and I would venture that 75% of the collection is probably more spring related than Easter. So don't let the name make you think that you're just getting an Easter collection, because you definitely are not, and you can go any direction with that. This one, I did use a lot of the Easter embellishments, but I've got one coming up later in the week where I stuck with strictly spring embellishments. And this collection comes with lots of stuff. Ephemera, cardstock stickers, chipboard, all kinds of patterned papers, cut-apart cards, enamel dots, brads, you name it, it's in there. And so it's a really fun collection with lots of options available to help you knock out some of those spring and Easter photographs. So my final touch is going to be adding on some enamel dots. And you can see I am going with that darker blue color, trying to decide if I like it or if it's too dark. And in the end, I decided it was too dark for what I was looking for. Sometimes we want to use enamel dots to make a statement. Sometimes we want them to blend in a little bit more. And today was one of those times where I decided, you know, I want them to blend more. My embellishing all is very cohesive at this point, and I feel like the blue was taking me away from that cohesiveness and too bold. So I'm going with the orange instead, and it's a subtle orange. So I think it works a lot better for the look that I was going for. So all that said, do check out the Creative Scrapbooker Magazine sketch group on Facebook. I will link you up to that down below so you can see it. It's a really cool group because they share sketches, their interpretations of sketches throughout the month, so you get gobs of ideas of how to use that. And also check out this really fun collection. It's a great one for this spring. And we will see you again later in the week with more with this collection and some other stuff coming up as well. Thanks for being here. Hit that subscribe button if you enjoyed the video, and we will see you next time.